is as cool as it gets. I'm tracking sweltering heat on the way for 4th of July. And when the triple-digit heat arrives.
Then, no baseball in the budget? Lawmakers say they'll vote on a new state budget this week, but some items have changed. Our NC Capitol team breaks down the new spending plan and why the major leagues aren't included. And death by distribution. Prosecutors are hoping to use a relatively new law to hold an accused drug dealer accountable for a 2023 overdose. Our legal expert explains the difficulty in proving the charge. Well, an inmate takeover at a North Carolina jail, a heat takeover in the forecast, and why baseball won't be taking over state budget negotiations. There's a whole lot to talk about tonight, and we're glad you're here with us. Here's our email address, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Let us know what you want to see on the news. Send us your questions, your comments, your feedback. We'll try to get to a few of them at the end of the newscast. First up, we got to talk about the temperature outside right now. This is what it's looking like in Durham, Apex, Raleigh, and Sanford. Enjoy it now because that's about as cool as it's going to get for the next week or so. This is going to be oppressive. Kat, we could be looking at several days of triple digits going into the July 4th weekend.
We're talking about at least 5 days at or above 100 degrees in a row. The all-time record is 6 days in a row in the triple digits. And it's because of this heat dome. It's going to be right over North Carolina, and that's what's going to trigger temperatures climbing into the triple digits. Right now, that heat dome is situated just to our west, so the biggest numbers on the map are just west of our area. That changes by Wednesday as the heat dome starts to inch closer to us, and then the heat dome itself is right overhead Thursday and Friday and into the weekend as well for the holidays. And that's what starts the triple digits. 99, very, very close to the triple digits Wednesday, 102 Thursday, 104 Friday, and 104 for 4th of July itself on Saturday. I want to stress these are the high temperatures. They are not the heat index. The heat index will be even higher than those numbers. We're not going to have a lot of rain around to help cool things off. We'll have a closer look at the heat index forecast and when we could see rain that maybe lowers the temperatures a little bit coming up.
Oh, okay, Kat, thank you. Let's get to a story happening right now at 7 o'clock. Part of Atlantic Avenue in Raleigh is closed right now because of a crash. Brian Trader, you're covering this from the WRAL Live Center. What are you seeing over there?
That section of Atlantic Avenue north of Highwoods Boulevard still is closed right now because of a crash involving a pedestrian, and we learned that that crash did kill that pedestrian. I want to show you some video from Sky 5 shot right around 5 o'clock. This call came in around 4:45. That SUV involved apparently hit that person and they died at the scene. New information from Raleigh police in the past hour. We've learned that the driver stayed at the scene and there was no sign of impairment. At this point, we're trying to find out more about the victim's identity and also whether any charges will be filed in that case. Right now, Atlantic Avenue is closed from Highwoods Boulevard up to Comfort Lane, and Raleigh police are not sure when they're going to be able to reopen it.
Oh, terribly sad, Brian. Thank you. 3 years after a Carborough man died from an overdose, the man accused of selling him the drugs is going to trial. The charge, death by distribution. It's relatively new in North Carolina. WRAL's Sean Gallagher shows us how this novel case could play out in the court system.
Death by distribution has only been around since 2019, so still relatively new, and it is being used all across the state, but legal professionals tell me it can get complicated when trying to prosecute someone for selling that deadly dose. Since 2019, when the charge of death by distribution became law, Jeremiah Hargrove is one of 7 people to ever be charged with it in Orange County, after 21-year-old Dolise Ndinga Momo died of an overdose.
If it saves one life, it's worth it.
Retired Judge Carl Fox says it has its difficulties in getting through the court.
You have a little bit of difficulty because the main person you need is deceased.
Fox says to get a conviction, there needs to be hard evidence of the sale.
But they are, by their very nature, difficult cases.
Hargrove's trial's only just starting. The prosecutors will lay out their evidence this week. Court records say he sold Ndinga Momo fentanyl in 2023, less than a week after his 21st birthday. Family members remembering him as a handsome, talented, strong, and generous person, according to the GoFundMe they created back then. He's one of the more than 23,000 North Carolinians to die from an opioid overdose since the death by distribution law was created. In that same time frame, according to the Fentanyl Victims Network, nearly 400 people have been charged in relation to selling the drugs that caused those deaths.
You have to say that it's accomplishing something, and there should be risks involved for people out there dealing dangerous addictive drugs, and because that's the kind of thing that can kill people.
If found guilty, Hargrove could face up to 5 to 6 years in prison, and that trial is expected to continue throughout the week. In Hillsborough, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
Our documentary team took an in-depth look at the opioid crisis. Parents who lost children to fentanyl overdoses told us they didn't even know what the drug was until it was too late. You can watch Crisis Next Door right now on the WRAL YouTube page. All right, let's get you caught up on today's big headlines. Here are 5 things that you should know right now. Dozens of firefighters responded to a fire on Weck Drive in Durham today. Sky 5 flying over the scene this afternoon. The Durham Fire Department says employees inside the facility all evacuated safely. No one was hurt. Investigators are still figuring out what started the fire. A driver faces charges after a deadly crash involving a 13-year-old. Joshua Phillip was charged with misdemeanor death by vehicle and driving with unsafe tires. The crash happened earlier this month on 540 near Buffalo Road. The truck went down an embankment, leading to the teenager's death. A former president of St. Augustine's University has died. President Emeritus Prezell Robinson died today at 105 years old. He served the school for nearly 3 decades. A memorial service will be held July 10th at the St. Augustine's University Chapel. The next day, a celebration of life and funeral will take place at St. Ambrose Episcopal Church. A former UNC basketball player is one of 2 people charged in a gambling investigation. Ed Davis is accused of betting on Malik Beasley, the other player charged in this case. Beasley is accused of adjusting his play based on the bets. Davis played for UNC for 2 seasons. He was named to the ACC All-Freshman team and won a national championship with the Tar Heels in 2009. 2 detention officers held hostage are safe after inmates took control of a North Carolina jail. It happened at the Bertie Martin Regional Jail in eastern North Carolina. Guards and 80 inmates were removed from the jail over the course of an hours-long negotiation to get law enforcement back in control. They were taken to another facility as investigators try to figure out how this happened. The FBI and SBI are interviewing everyone involved. The jail is locked down for now. And one thing that we do want to mention about this story is the disparity between the number of inmates and the number of guards at this facility. At the time of the takeover, just 3 guards were watching over 88 inmates. That's 29 inmates per guard. We wanted to know what the ratio looked like in our local jails. In Wake County, there are 1,673 inmates and 324 officers across multiple facilities. So the actual ratio varies from facility to facility, but on average, that's about 1 guard for every 5 inmates. In the Durham County Detention Center, there are 540 inmates and 151 detention officers. That's about 3 inmates per guard. Those are better than Bertie Martin Regional Facility, but they could be a lot better. According to Governor Stein, North Carolina is 49th in the nation in detention officer pay. A new state budget deal includes a 15% raise, but it has yet to become law. Speaking of the new budget, did you know what didn't make it into the latest deal? Baseball. Yeah, lawmakers say they have a plan in case the MLB wants to come to town, but they aren't including it in the budget. We're going to find out why. Plus, with all the heat and the drought we are still dealing with this summer, how come there's no burn ban? We get answers tonight on WRAL News at 11. Kat?
And this system is responsible for our 100-degree heat. The big question is, how long is it going to stick around? We'll talk more about that coming up.
And now let's look ahead at some of the news stories we're keeping an eye on for you this week. Tomorrow, we expect another update on the water supply levels at Falls Lake as the statewide drought continues. At last check, it was at 64%. On Wednesday, it is win or go home for the U.S. men's national team. They play Bosnia in the knockout round of the World Cup. Kickoff set for 8 p.m. on Fox 50. And Thursday, we get the June jobs report a little early because of the holiday weekend. Forecasters predict the U.S. economy added over 120,000 jobs. And of course, Saturday, July 4th, the United States celebrating 250 years. Raleigh will host the First in Freedom Parade. It starts Saturday morning at 9:30. We'll be right back. North Carolina lawmakers say they have a deal. Both chambers, the House and the Senate, agreed to a deal for a new state budget. Pretty big news. Except, didn't they already make a deal? That was the headline last month, right? Lawmakers announcing a starting point for a budget deal after a year of negotiations. Okay, so what changed between now and then? Well, like the headline said, last month was a starting point. The two sides agreed on the big ticket items like teacher raises, state employee raises, and income tax cuts. All that stuff is still in there. And now there's more. $105 million for a new children's hospital in Apex. An increase on sports betting from 18% to 23% for the tax. Closed tax loopholes for data centers, nonprofits, and affordable housing developers. But one thing that is not in this deal, that will not be in the new budget, is baseball. Lawmakers have a plan for public funding if Major League Baseball does pick Raleigh, but that plan isn't in the budget. But why not? I spoke to WRAL state government editor Jack Hagel. Jack, you broke this story over the weekend. Walk us through what's in this proposal.
Yeah, so this is our first detailed look at this proposal. It's basically a $1.7 billion plan to essentially support a baseball stadium in Wake County for a potential Major League Baseball team bid. Now, that's assuming North Carolina would get a baseball team. There are two investors who have separately said they want to get a baseball team to Raleigh. Major League Baseball is looking at expansion. But to do that, Major League Baseball really wants to see a public financing plan. They want to see that it's more than just a couple of guys putting up the money. They want to make sure that everyone's behind them.
And where does this $1.7 billion come from?
So it would be a mixture of direct cash, tax revenue. They would create a special taxing district around this place. They're looking at $500 million direct in, plus hotel occupancy taxes. They would raise the tax that would help fund this thing. So essentially, you would have your equity, you would have your continuing income, and potentially some bond financing, things like that. That would basically pay for this. And Major League Baseball again wants to see that they've got a government behind that money.
Well, there are a number of entities within the government that support this, but not everybody is behind it. So as you've been reporting, the Senate really has been spearheading this. What does House Speaker Destin Hall have to say?
Well, House Speaker Destin Hall has expressed a little bit of skepticism towards using public money for private projects. And in this case, he views the Major League Baseball expansion as a private investment. There's also some concern about putting all of that money into Wake County. The question is whether or not you can get a budget through that has so much money poured into one county when you got to get agreement from lawmakers from all over the state. While it may not be in this budget, there's a possibility that they could break this out as a separate piece of legislation. But the time is ticking. Can they do that after the election? One of the biggest issues is the biggest advocate for this plan is Senate Leader Phil Berger, one of the most powerful lawmakers in the state. He's going to be out of office starting in January. So who's going to take this up when he leaves? Will there be support for it when he leaves?
We have also done some reporting on the private, money that's going to be coming into this. Where does that fit into this equation?
So the investors who are interested in doing it, they would be putting up the money for the franchise. They would have the team managing the players, basically the team on the field. The state would be owning the stadium, the land, and they would lease it back to the team. It's kind of like the same thing that the Lenovo Center does. We have the Centennial Authority, which owns and manages the Lenovo Center, and they lease it back to the Hurricanes. Mm-hmm. That would be the same kind of arrangement in this proposal.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
Well, we're going to have to see if they tried this some other way. Again, there's this period after the election before the new legislature comes in when Berger may still have some influence. So the question is, do they try something then? Do they try another way to go about this, maybe financing it through existing funds that may not have already been appropriated? There are a number of ways that they can try to do this. The question is whether or not they can have the support to pull it off.
It was really interesting reading through all of the different items in this proposal. If you want to check out more of that, check out Jack and Brian Murphy's reporting over on WRAL.com. And of course, there's a lot more to unpack in the new state budget deal. We know you've got questions about it, so please send us an email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Remember, this is still a deal. The House and the Senate still have yet to vote on the budget. So let us know what parts of the budget you want to know about, maybe parts of that MLB proposal you want to know about, and we'll talk about it here at 7 o'clock. Meantime, we got to talk about this oppressive and frankly dangerous heat. You really got to be mindful about how much time you're spending outside.
You really do. I mean, take a lot of breaks inside in the shade. Even if you are in a pool or a body of water, you're still going to have to, take some breaks from being out there, especially during the heat of the afternoon. 99 Wednesday, our first day where we're almost at 100, and then 102 Thursday, 104 Friday, 104 Saturday, 102 Sunday, and we even expect triple digits again next Monday. We are currently forecasting 5 days in a row at 100 or higher. I mean, this could be 6. At this point, we do think we'll stay in the 90s that day, but even next Tuesday could be 6, and that would have us tying the record for a 100-degree stretch. The heat index is higher than all of those numbers and gets closer to 110 starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A holiday weekend with heat index values at 110 or even higher for short periods of time is truly dangerous. Even here in North Carolina, we could see excessive heat warnings issued. We only average 1 to 2 of those per year. This is also record heat for us, not Wednesday, but Thursday we expect to break the record of 101. 102 is the forecast, and Friday we should crush the record of 101 set back in 2012. So let's talk about this heat dome. It's sliding our way, and that's what's setting the stage for this big heat wave for the end of the week, end of 4th of July weekend. All weekend, it just hangs out right over North Carolina. It's a ridge of high pressure, technically speaking, and there is sinking air, so it also prevents storms from forming for the most part. But by Monday of next week, it's still hot, and we're still definitely on the warm side of the jet stream here, but we could begin to see high pressure slide to the west a bit early next week, and then that may allow some thunderstorms to creep into the forecast, and with that, we could see temperatures finally settle down a bit, maybe by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. But we don't have much rain in the forecast. We got a couple of showers right now in southern Johnston County, one on the east side of town in Fayetteville. You got another 20% chance Thursday and a small chance Sunday, a 30% chance next Monday. This is not going to do us any good, rain chances like that, in terms of the drought. So that's another big concern here. Rainfall totals over the next 7 days are quite low, 1/4 of an inch or less. But I do want to draw your attention to this area of more rain offshore. That is from this system, and this only has a 10% chance of actually developing into anything tropical. Even if it did, we would have that big heat dome overhead to pretty much protect us from the impacts of that system. But just wanted to make you aware of it so you don't see it floating around online and panic or anything like that. 92 for the high tomorrow. Enjoy tomorrow while you can. Once we get to Wednesday, the heat ramps up. 102 Thursday, and then we stay in the triple digits into early next week. Hopefully some of that rain can creep in and lower temperatures next week. But I mean, this weekend is going to be the real deal type of heat. We're talking about 90 degrees even in the spots in the mountains that almost never hit 90.
Wow. Okay, Kat, thank you. Hey, from the Stanley Cup to the World Cup, there is something about sports that brings us together. As we get ready to celebrate 250 years of the United States, let's talk about the unifying power of sports. One last thing, and your feedback after the break. This week, as we ramp up to 250 years of the United States, we reflect on the things we love about America. And it struck me that one of the things really giving us that united feeling these days is sports. We've been on quite a run lately. The Stanley Cup, the NBA championship, the World Cup. Whether you're jumping on the bandwagon for the first time, maybe you've been on it for a while, or you're just watching it go by, we can all appreciate the joy sports have brought us these last few weeks. It goes beyond a single sport, a single tournament, a single game. Look at all the people, shoulder to shoulder in downtown Raleigh, being a part of the Stanley Cup final run together. Then celebrating the Carolina Hurricanes when they won. Nearly 200,000 people, no major incidents. Families and friends from all over the state making memories together. And the New York Knicks winning the championship for the first time in over 50 years. The parade drew 2 million people. Sure, this one had a few more incidents and chaotic moments than Raleigh did, but the overwhelming majority celebrated together in harmony. Some of our favorite moments, though, have come from the World Cup, a tournament that this year is bringing people from all over the world to the United States. Scotland's fans, the Tartan Army, playing their bagpipes on the streets of Boston and Miami, winning over everyone they meet. Team Norway practicing in Greensboro, teaching fans in North Carolina and beyond the Viking Row celebration. Thousands of fans descended on UNC Greensboro to watch them do their thing. Fans of Ghana marching through the street in Philadelphia, singing and cheering despite, the rain. The consistent storyline here is how much people are enjoying being together in America. And like ice cold water on a scorching hot day, all of these unifying moments are a relief from the challenges we face. Wars, higher prices, political disagreements. There's a lot we can feel a bit helpless about. But the past couple of months have provided so many reasons to be joyful. They remind us that joyful moments are so much better when they're shared, and that these shared moments can bring us all a little closer together. Thanks for watching WRAL News at 7. Of course, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com is our email address. We always love to hear from you, so please do send us an email and tell us what's on your mind. We'll talk about it here at 7 o'clock. Have a great night.